is useless. Do you know who my father is?
Mary had everything. Born into wealth, raised by maids, protected by her father's money. But what she did not have was respect. This was not her first insult, but that morning it became her last. In the principal's office, she did not beg. She did not explain. She crossed her legs, checked her phone, and smiled, because in her mind, this was just another drama her father would buy his way out of. But the principal was tired. Tired of her disrespect, tired of her entitlement, tired of watching teachers walk out in tears. With a calm voice that shook the room, the principal said the words Mary never imagined hearing. You are hereby expelled from this institution with immediate effect. Mary laughed. She laughed because she thought it was a joke. She laughed because she had never been told no. She laughed until the security men stepped in. That was the moment reality knocked. Students watched as the rich girl they feared, the girl who never greeted anyone, was escorted out of the school gate. Phones came out, whispers spread, her name trended, not for beauty, not for wealth, but for disgrace. And as Mary stepped into her father's car, still confident, still proud, she said the words that would soon destroy her world. Daddy will handle it. What she did not know was this. Her father had finally had enough, and the punishment waiting for her would change her life forever. Pack your things. You are leaving Lagos tonight, Mary's father said. That night, Lagos traffic swallowed the car. As Mary stared out of the window, designer bags beside her, anger burning inside her chest. She did not know where they were going, but when the gate opened and the sign appeared, St Agnes Mission School, her heart dropped. Mary expected another private school. New uniforms, air-conditioned classrooms, students like her. But what stood before her was St Agnes Mission School. Old walls, bare classrooms, a bell that rang like it had been crying for years. This was not a place for daughters of wealth. It was a place for discipline. As Mary stepped out of her father's car, her heels sinking into the dusty ground, she looked around in disbelief. Girls stood in neat lines, no phones, no lashes, no designer bags, only simple uniforms and quiet obedience. A woman in a plain brown habit walked forward. Sister Catherine. Her eyes were calm, but her presence was terrifying. Welcome to St Agnes, she said. Here, we train character, not ego. Inside the dormitory, Mary stopped breathing for a second. Metal bunk beds stacked like cages. One small locker scratched with old names. No mirror, not even a cracked one. She dropped her bag like it carried disease. This was not living. This was survival. That evening, the bell rang again. Not for food, not for prayer, but for duties. Mary followed the line of girls quietly, still waiting for someone to laugh and say it was a prank. They reached the back of the compound, and Mary saw her nightmare. Buckets lined up like soldiers, plates stacked higher than her pride, clothes soaking in wide bowls, foam floating like accusation. She laughed, loud, sharp, and confident, because surely this part was not for her. She turned to the girl beside her. This one is for who? The girl replied calmly, for all of us. Mary laughed again. Not me, oh. Sister Catherine's voice cut through the air. Mary. She stepped forward, still smiling. You will start with plates. Mary immediately froze. Plates? She looked at her hands. Perfect nails, soft skin. She shook her head. There must be a mistake. Sister Catherine smiled. There is no mistake here. Mary looked around, waiting for sympathy. But none came. Only silence and water dripping from soaked clothes. She picked up one plate, then dropped it. I cannot do this. Sister Catherine nodded. You will learn. Mary felt something unfamiliar rise in her chest. Fear. That night, Mary did not sleep. Her fingers burned, her back ached, her pride bled quietly. Morning did not arrive. It attacked. The bell screamed before the sun could defend her. Mary jerked awake, heart racing, body still bruised by yesterday, hands already exhausted by a tomorrow she had not lived. Before her mind settled, a command cut through the air. Water duty. No argument, no delay. She joined the silent line of girls, bare feet on cold ground, moving toward the well. The well stood like an old judge, tall, unmoving, waiting for confession. Mary peered inside, dark, bottomless, unforgiving. She tied the rope around the bucket, her fingers shaking, her pride slipping. She dropped it. A small smile escaped her lips. Okay, I can do this. She pulled. The bucket slammed the wall and disappeared back into the darkness. Second try. Splash. Whispers rose. Eyes gathered. She tried again. The rope burned her palm, slipped. The bucket fell in a third time. Laughter burst open. Hands clapped. Voices mocked. Mary staggered back, breathing hard, chest tight. She stared at her hands, red, raw, on fire. Tears rushed her eyes, but she swallowed them. Not here, not today. A prefect stepped forward, voice flat. Mary, pick it again. Mary whispered, I can't. The reply came cold. You must. She bent again, moved slower this time, pulled with everything she had left. The bucket rose, heavy, cruel, victorious. Water spilled onto her shoes, soaked, ruined. Mary didn't flinch. Soft life was over. Later that morning, the next duty arrived, to scrub the floors. She knelt, with brush in hand, soap biting her skin. Her knees screamed, her back begged, but the floor demanded more. And Mary learnt the first rule of St Agnes. Pain does not ask for permission.
At St Agnes, meals were not announced politely. No bells, no second chances. When the kitchen bell rang, students ran. They ran because food was limited. They ran because latecomers went hungry. The first time Mary heard the noise, she did not move. She sat on her bed, fixing her hair in the small broken mirror. I will eat later, she thought. She was used to food waiting for her. By the time she stepped outside, the compound was quiet. The pots were empty. That night, Mary slept hungry. She told herself it did not matter, but hunger is a stubborn teacher. The next morning, her legs were weak, her head hot, her pride was still loud. Again, the bell rang, again girls rushed, again Mary delayed, and again there was nothing left. 3 missed meals, no snacks, no money, no exceptions. By the third night, Mary cried quietly under her blanket. Not because she was punished, but because she finally understood something simple. Nobody was coming to save her. The next day, when the bell rang, Mary ran. She ran with everyone else. She joined the line. She waited. It was not shameful. It was survival. That was the day Mary learned her first real lesson at St Agnes. Pride does not feed you. After hunger taught her humility, Mary began to notice people. She noticed girls who shared food without being asked, girls who laughed despite having little, girls who were rich yet lived simply. That was when she met Deborah, and that was when her heart began to soften. Mary began to observe in silence. She watched Deborah wake early without complaining. She watched her scrub floors and still smile. She watched her greet Sister Catherine with respect, not fear, not pride, just calm. Mary started noticing others too. A girl whose mother was a senator, another whose father owned hotels in Abuja, one whose parents lived abroad. All of them rich, all of them quiet, all of them grounded. No insults, no foaming, no shouting. They queued, they fetched water, they knelt to scrub floors, and nobody announced who they were. That was when something cracked inside Mary. Back home, wealth made noise. Money spoke before character. Comfort covered weakness. Here, nobody cared. Your surname meant nothing. Your father's car meant nothing. Your money slept outside the gate. Only behavior entered. That night, during prep, Mary stared at her notebook without seeing words. She remembered how she shouted at teachers, how she talked back at home, how she laughed at people who struggled. For the first time, shame did not come from punishment, it came from understanding. Later in the dormitory, Mary whispered to Deborah, "I used to think poor people were the ones who suffered." Deborah looked at her gently. Sometimes, the poorest people are the ones who never learned humility. Mary swallowed hard. That night, she cried. Not loud, not dramatic, quiet tears, the kind that cleans the heart. The next morning, something was different. When the bell rang, Mary stood up without dragging her feet. When it was water duty, she carried her bucket without complaining. When a younger girl struggled, Mary helped her. People noticed, but nobody clapped. And that was the lesson. Change does not need applause, it only needs truth. And for the first time since she entered St Agnes, Mary was no longer trying to escape. She was beginning to stay. Because sometimes life does not punish you, it corrects you. Slowly, Mary began to belong. She laughed again, not at people, but with them. Real laughter, the kind that does not leave guilt behind. She joined school debates, spoke with confidence, not arrogance, led group studies, listening more than she talked, played games she once called childish, and discovered joy had no age limit. The school that once felt like a prison became home. For the first time, Mary was liked for who she was, not whose daughter she was. Before arrogance, Mary had always been brilliant, sharp memory, quick understanding, once top of her class. But at St Agnes, brilliance alone was not enough. There were no shortcuts, no bribing teachers, no special treatment, just exams and effort. Mary failed some tests. She cried. She studied harder. She learnt discipline the hard way. And slowly, steadily, she rose again. Graduation day came quietly. Parents filled the compound, expensive cars outside the gate, simple uniforms inside. Mary stood among her classmates, hands folded, calm. No anxiety, no need to impress. When the principal announced, "Best graduating student, Mary," the crowd gasped. Her father froze. Her mother covered her mouth, tears spilling freely. Mary walked forward, not rushed, not proud, grounded. As she received her award, her eyes met her father's. This time, there was no pride, only gratitude. Later, away from the crowd, her father pulled her into a tight hug. "St. Agnes gave me back my daughter." Mary smiled. She did not need luxury to feel important anymore, because real life had taught her something money never could. Humility makes greatness last. And sometimes, the place you hated the most is the place that saves you.
Please like, share, and subscribe.